So what's up guys, you guys are welcome to this particular video where I'll be talking about Figma's new update in their Config 2022, right? It was an amazing update and I'll be showing you guys some of the amazing stuff that I just learned, right? And don't forget, if it's the first time of watching this particular, joining us on this particular YouTube channel, go ahead, like this particular video, drop Figma Config 2022 in the comment section, and of course subscribe to the new YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on subsequent videos, right? So that being said, let's get straight to the video. Now in this particular video here, as you can see, I just launched a new Figma project, and normally this is how your Figma will look by default. Now the first release that they came up with is what, the dark mode. So let's see how we can actually switch to the dark mode, right? This is of course very easy thing to do. You go to your file here and you move over to preference, and you see theme here. Then you want to click on dark theme, and the moment you click on dark theme, everything in your design actually changes to what, dark theme, which is amazing. So the next thing you want to do is probably change your background color to like the dark theme completely. So I'll change this to 414141, right? So once I do this, I have like my clear dark theme ready for me. So now let's start our design. Next I want to do, I'll create a frame. I normally love to use this particular iPhone frame of 335 by 412, right? So I already dropped like a two shade of gray colors here that I would love to use. If you drop this one on top, you realize that okay, this other one is darker, right? So I'm going to give my frame now the darker shade. So I'm just going to drop this and pick up my eyedropper. Yep, I'll do that there. So perfect, right? So and we are actually ready to start design. And right here also, I also imported a card. Actually, so this is like a card that I brought from Nerdy Eye's project, because Nerdy Eye, we are doing a community platform where community builders can actually build and host their community. So you guys should watch out for Nerdy Eye new platform, right? So that being said, let me just go ahead. So the first thing, the next thing I want to talk about now is what, component, right? So for me to talk about component, I will go into my design and try to create this design from scratch, right? So I want to add a logo here. So let me just type logo. Okay, let me make a capital letter all through. Let me just type logo here, and it's inter selected. Let me make this bold. Probably make it a little bit bigger. Let's say like 24. There about that. It's not affecting it. Let's try that again. Let's make it like 24. Perfect. Right, so I have my logo here. So I have this particular plugin for icons installed on my system, fonts, feather icon. So I want a particular icon from feather icon. So let's see that. It should be coming up now. So okay, let's drop this particular one that looks like a menu icon, right? So let's drop that there. And it's dark. Let me make it white as well. So that's that. And as you can see, it's not inside my iPhone. So let me drop it inside there. Alright, that's cool. So I have this particular icon set over here, and it's amazing. So now I can select this particular icon set and my logo here, my proposed logo for this particular design, and guess what I'm going to make it? I'm going to hit AutoLayout to make it AutoLayout. So the first thing we're going to be treating is this. After dark mode, the next thing we're going to be treating will be AutoLayout. So let's see what we can do with AutoLayout, right? So the moment I do that, I'm going to add AutoLayout to it. And once I add AutoLayout to it, you see how amazing it is. Now, one of the amazing stuff they added with AutoLayout is the fact that you can actually easily just stretch it and resize it from this particular edge without you actually going to your panel here to resize it, right? Another amazing stuff with AutoLayout again is, as you can see here, they've changed the alignment in some sort of way. Now, the best way to actually practicalize that particular one is probably draw a very big frame here, right? Let me give this particular frame a color, right? Let me just do something gray, not too dark, since we're using dark mode. And I'll just type a little text in it. Let me type a little text in it. Let's say sample, right? All right. Now with this sample text, now if I give this AutoLayout and with my sample text selected, right? With my AutoLayout card selected, I can actually adjust this stuff around it. I can adjust it around it as much as I want to adjust it, right? So let's try. Let's increase it a bit. let's just increase it a bit, and let's see how it will move around that particular sample edge, you see, and it's obeying this particular distance, right? Such a way that you can even like reduce the distance. You can use the distance like this if you want. You can also use it like this, right? So once you come over here, you're able to select it. And the beautiful thing is that once you see, if you click here, you can just go ahead here and change it to say 20, for example. You can click here again and go ahead here and say 20, for example, right? And you can come over here and adjust it based on where you want that particular alignment of that particular stuff to be inside your auto layout, which I think is really amazing. Another thing again that you could do, you can adjust from both edge. I'm holding alternate on my keyboard right now, and you can see I can resize the screen of the auto layout from both edge like this. I can resize from both edge like this as well. Then if you want to resize it from the 4 edges, you want to hold down Shift and alternate together. For example, I'm holding down Shift and alternate together. Then now I can resize it from both edge. So let's try this out. So that you see, I'm resizing it from what, all the 4 corners, right? So this can be resized from the both edge as well, especially when your auto layout is being given like hog container. And of course you could see that they have actually changed. Before, the hog and field container is around this particular edge. As you can see, that it has been switched to this particular area, right? So you can change your hog container here and say hog content here. And if I click this together, if I hold alternate and Shift together, I should be able to resize it on 4 edges, right? Which is one amazing part of auto layout that is really good. Now the next part of auto layout, I'll delete this now because I don't need it. The next part of auto layout is to treat this particular part, right? So if, let's say peradventure, I want to stretch this now, I want to stretch it. So I'm going to stretch this particular card to this particular point, and I'm going to stretch this to this particular point as well. And inside my auto layout group, let me just call the particular stuff, let me just call it navbar. Inside my auto layout group, even if I drag this, if I try to like resize this, I'm coming. Let me select the main card, the main auto layout. Now you see I cannot resize it now. Then I can go to my auto layout here, under pack, you can see it's pack. I can change it towards space between. So space between, if you're coming from the CSS background like myself, in fact, when I saw space between, poof, it blew my mind. It just reminded me of a CSS flex particle, justify content space between, right? And I was like, wow, this is just like CSS. So you could actually use pack. Of course you could see it. So pack will maintain the default spacing. Of course you could see this is the default spacing. Let's say this is 50. Pack will maintain the default spacing that is in it before, right? Why space between? If you come over here and change it to space between, it actually does ensure that the elements are aligned at the edges. If it is 2 elements, it's going to be aligned at the edges. If it is 3 elements, you're going to ensure that the space between them are actually equal, and they are making full size of that particular frame. Which, if you ask me, I think it's super dope. For example, now if I have to duplicate this twice, you could see that space between is ensuring that space between two particular cards is ensuring that the space between them are actually definitely equal compared to pack. If it is pack, it's going to look like this, which will be obeying this particular 50 down here, right? So space between does that as well, right? And AutoLayout also came up with some other amazing stuff that I would also want us to actually try in this particular video. So let me just delete one of this, and I want to leave this stuff at space between for now. And my auto layout as well, I can also give it like a padding around it. If I want to give it a padding around it, I can give it like a total padding around it and say, okay, look, auto layout guys, I want you guys to have like 16 by the edge of this particular stuff, and I also want this other guy to also have like 16 by this edge as well, which is super dope. Then I can actually adjust this and ensure that this is aligned to the top of the whole thing. And let me give this guy a fill. So I will give it this particular fill. So let me give it this particular other color of my dark mode that I highlighted here. Okay, this is perfect, right? So this is it. So which is, if you ask me, this is like really cool. It just looks as if we're actually designing some sort of mobile application right now that is coming out nice. Now the next thing that I would actually love us to do next will be us actually coming up with something. So let me type something here, I'm going to type community, right? And let me imagine this one is a quite bigger text, and I actually put it in here, right? I can put community in here, and I want to design something else basically. So I'm going to type in let me draw something. What should I draw now? Okay, let me make this like a circular object. So I could just draw a circular object here and say let's give it like 40, right? So we could give it 40 here, and this is an amazing circular object that we could draw, right? And let's duplicate this now. And once I duplicate this, I'm going to definitely give it AutoLayout and do something like this. Let's say 10, right? So let's give it like, let's now duplicate. Let's call this one profiles. All right. And I'm going to like duplicate this small. Duplicate. Okay, something like this is really cool. So the next thing I want to go and look for image inside of my system and to apply it inside here, right? So let me look for, I'll go over here, and I'll click on place image, and it will allow me to actually select image of my system. So let me look for some amazing images of my system. So I have like special images of my system that I could actually use. So let me look for some splash images, something like this. This could go, and I'll just select some images at random though. Some images I think that will go. That's okay. I have 4 items actually, so let me make this of 4, and let's place this image. We'll place now. So I'll place this one here, place this one here, place this one here, place this one here. Okay, one more, or let us delete that last one. Let us make it 4. Now, because it is AutoLayout, AutoLayout also came with something that is called negative spacing. Now, in previous time, we cannot actually give our AutoLayout negative spacing. The regular like this, like vertical or horizontal. But now we can actually give this up and say we want it to be -10, which will make it overlap, right? Just imagine this stuff. It's making it overlap, which is super dope if you ask me, right? And we can even go ahead and actually give this stuff a simple stroke. So in fact, let's give each and every one of them a stroke. I can give it like a stroke of 2 to just make it more visible, and I would give it another. I'll click here, and also give all of them a stroke of 2. All right, perfect. Oh, I think I did not select it well. Give it a stroke of 2. All right, perfect. So now you could see exactly what we have, right? This is super dope. And something like this, I can even click it from here like this and even adjust it and be giving it what? Negative space. And this is negative space. Now, what if in my AutoLayout, I want this particular guy, I want this particular guy right now to, instead of it to be like this, I want to use canvas stacking, right? At this particular point, you can see that the one below it is actually coming on top of it, right? Once I put first on top, something like this, you could see the changes, right? So right now, I want it to be first on top. So I want to have like multiple members inside of my community, right? And the next thing I also want to clarify, as you can see now, AutoLayout have actually readjusted the layer. Before this new update, once you add like elements inside an AutoLayout, make them AutoLayout, the first one here becomes the last one. But now Figma have actually corrected that in such a way that the first one is actually the first one based on the arrangement as you see it on your design, right? And I think, if you ask me, I think this particular feature is super great, and I super love the fact that they have actually adjusted that particular changes. Now I also want to make another text here now, and I want to type something like members. All right, let me type members. All right, let's make this, of course, smaller text like 20, and probably not bold, probably regular also, or medium or something. Okay, let's make it medium. Okay, this is cool. And okay, something like this. I'll put it like this. I wanted this card to be more though, but let us leave it like this for now. And we could do something like this right now, right? And let's say this is what we're trying to design, right? And we could add like see all members or something of that nature. Or let's come over here. let me assume like there is more stuff. Let me just like duplicate this, add more stuff over here to just make it look a little bit more better. And I wouldn't want this to have like a full white, right? So let it be dark a bit, right? And semi-bold will be perfect for that particular one there. And yeah, let's say we'll have like a couple of stuff here, and the last one probably is like a plus something right there, right? And we want to actually create this particular stack and make them an auto layout, right? So I'm going to add an auto layout to it, and automatically it's going to give it 5, which is super great. And the next thing I want to do, of course, I want to like stretch this. I want to stretch this particular frame now, and I want to put it somewhere around here. So let's call this particular frame, let's call it like the members frame or something. Members. Alright, I'll call this particular one members frame. I'm gonna bring it down, put my navigation up, and stuff like that. Just arrange it. Members frame. So the next thing I want to add a simple small text, right? Probably like a 14 text or a 12 point text, and call it see all, something like that. So if I go ahead and click it here now, and I'm going to say see all. Alright, let me say see all here, and this see all, I want it to be like 14 thereabout, and regular. Okay, regular of course. And you could see that there is no way I want to position this particular stuff by this particular edge, and there is no way I would have been able to do that because of members and this particular card have been added as auto layout. So now auto layout came up with one another thing that is amazing, that I felt like they got inspired from CSS, right? And that is what we call the absolute positioning. And you can see the absolute positioning here. So with the absolute positioning, I could actually just click here, and this will still be part of the component, but right now it has been adjusted to the far edge. So I could actually adjust it like this. It has been adjusted to the far edge of this whole thing, which is super great. You could see me using the alignment to put it down there, right? I could easily adjust it right there, and I think this particular feature is really good. I could give it a highlight color. It depends on my primary color actually. So I could give it a simple highlight color to let them know that okay, this particular stuff is clickable, and so on and so forth. And you could see the absolute positioning is working really amazing, and if you ask me, I think it's actually great. It is actually great. Now, and that is what we could do with auto layouts, right? Some of the things we could do with the auto layout. So some of the recap here, as you can see, auto layouts have come up with so many amazing stuff that you guys can actually try out, like absolute positioning that I used to play this particular stuff, the negative spacing, of course, and so many other amazing stuff that you could try. Now, another amazing thing you could see, also notice in the auto layout, is also the stroke. For example, like if I go into this particular profile here, if I go to my auto layout here, you can see this particular area saying stroke included and stroke excluded, right? So basically, you will not really see this effect in this particular of my design, because my design is actually correct, because my stroke is being included, and you will not see it going outside the particular frame, right? And this is another new feature again as well that they came up with, which is text baseline, that ensure that your text inside of your auto layout card is aligned, it's properly aligned. So you can also try that particular feature out as well, right? So before I proceed, the next thing I would love to talk about is components, right? So let's take a look at components. What is new inside of components, right? So I'll attempt to create a simple button. So I'm just going to draw something like this. Probably let's say this is a simple button. I have this. I always love giving my button some sort of let me give this a feel. I love giving my button some sort of padding. Let me give it this particular color. Let me give it like 6. Yeah, just little edge there. So this is the button, and it's like really light. It's a really light button, or better still, let me give it this particular cyan color, so it's going to be popping out in this particular design very well. So this is the button actually that I want to work on. So I will drop a simple text here now, and I will call it label, right? And let me reduce this particular size like 16 or thereabout. And so I could put this particular button and try to align it to the center over there. Let's change the color to like white or so. Yeah, that's perfect. Let me change this here color to make it a bit dimmer, so that there will not be too much of contrast issue over there. All right, this looks cool now. So let's say this is our button tag, our button, right? And let's see how we could actually use AutoLayout on our button. Now, in normal cases, right, what you want to do with your button now, you want to add stuff like this. Let me show you now. You want to create your button. Let's call this button, right? And you want to add your AutoLayout to it. And of course, probably if you're like me, you want to ensure that your button is actually equal. For example, if you give here like, let's say like 10, and you want to give here like 30 thereabouts, so, and you have like an amazing button there, and it is really cool. I don't know why I love changing my values from here than this particular part, right? So hopefully I'll get used to it as we proceed using these particular new features. Now I have this simple button here, and the next thing I want to do, I want to add some sort of variant. And of course, as you can see, my button is responsive. I'm always a fan of responsive buttons, of course, and some sort of variant. So, and the next I want to add an icon. So I'll go to feather icons. So where's my plugin again? I'll go to feather icons. Where are you? Here's my feather icons. Feather icons. Let me look for a simple icon, like a user icon like this. And of course, I'm going to make that particular icon white. Alright, so that's the icon over there, and I could reduce the size a bit, like 20. Oops, let me drop this. I could reduce the size like 20 a bit, and I will drag it from here and I'll put it inside here now. So if I put my button inside here now, I have an amazing button that has an icon, right? And I have an amazing button that has an icon. So let me try something and see if this works. Now you see that particular function. Let me take it back now. So you see, with that particular function, that is the function of the text baseline alignment. So because of the text baseline alignment that you see on AutoLayout, I'm just stepping it to be backwards AutoLayout. If you see text baseline alignment, you could see that this stuff is not aligned at the base, but the moment I check this now, it will ensure that it is aligned at the base, right? Nonetheless, to me, the button still looks bigger. So I could actually just mention that the button, the button and the label are of similar size, right? So yeah, so something like this is actually good to go. So the next thing I want to do now is I want to make this stuff a component. So let me just take it outside. And for us making a component, the usual AutoLayout Figma format, you just want to come over here and click on what? Create component. So I'm going to click on create component. The moment I click on create component, I have my components, right? Now, I know that if you want to like add variants to your component, the next time I'll be asking yourself is, okay, you want to come over here and look for variants to add that plus sign, but it is no longer there. For you to add variants right now inside of Figma, you have to come over here and click on the add variant button. See, they have moved it to the top section over here, right? So you want to go ahead and click here to basically add another variant, right? But in this particular component, I don't plan to actually add another variant. And that being said, the next thing I want to do now, I want to also treat some other aspects of Figma, of their update that is called Boolean that they released. So I'll go inside of my button, I'll select the icon, and under the icon, I'm going to click on layer, and you can see layer property here, apply Boolean property. I'm going to click on it, and you're going to say show icon, or let me just call this one show icon, right? And I'm going to say this is true, of course, because the icon is visible. So I'm going to say create property. Now the moment I do this, I've actually create that icon on or icon left, right, without actually creating much stuff instead of my button. So I'm going to click here now, and I'm going to hold alternate and duplicate it. The moment I do that, Figma has automatically creates this Boolean stuff for me, and I can toggle on and toggle off my icon. I strongly believe that this particular stuff is really cool, and it has actually saved us time, right? And it's really cool as well, and it will help us manage our buttons more effectively. Now the next thing I also noticed that in the new release, that once you click on the layer on the text part like this, you could also add what we call the content you could also add what we call the content property, right? Apply text property. So once you click here, you could say text, or best way, I love to call it label. Then I would love to change this to like button. I would love to call it label. Then once I do that, I score button. Then if I click on this particular one, at any point in time, I feel like, okay, I want to change the label. I spelled it wrongly. Any point where I feel like I want to change the label, I'll just come over here and change it to like create community. Let me change it to create community. Right? Automatically it applies here, and this particular button text will be changed with create community, right? So this is how you handle the Boolean property and also the content property inside of the Figma new release, right? So let me know in the comment section if you're understanding it and if you're also enjoying this particular new release. Personally, I'm enjoying it and I love it. And don't forget as well, you can still go ahead and create other variants as well and give it any name of your choice if you feel like creating other variants, right? And basically that is how you can definitely work with buttons, right? Which is really cool. Now the next thing I want to talk about is I have this particular little stuff here so that I brought in. So let me just bring it in. I created this card and okay, this is the stuff itself. Let me see if I can adjust it a bit before I bring it in. This is really responsive, so I'll duplicate it over here. Okay, let me drop it like this. I just created this particular card and let me drop it like this. Then I will drag this screen down a bit and I would I will duplicate this. I created this card. You can go ahead and just create your own card too as well. So this also signify AutoLayout in a way. So I'll go ahead and I will place my image and I will do something now. And I'll look for my image. I have some images here and I'll pick these two images and I'll just place it in the usual way in Figma, right? And this is cool and this is looking like an AI new community platform, right? And if you ask me, I think this is super cool and super dope as well, right? So the next thing I want to do now is okay, you know what? Let me select this and this and even this and leave a space for the status bar, right? So that the reason I'm leaving a space for the status bar so that when we actually click on present and we have a space for the status bar there. I didn't have a status bar component in this particular project, and of course just testing purposes, right? So that'll be a space for the status bar over there, which is cool as well. And let me make this, or better still, I would have just made this one 44, right? That would have been the best option to do than to actually change the alignment, right? That would have been the best option to do than to change the alignment. Alright, that's cool. So I have something like, okay, this is cool now, and let me ensure that this other one, they are well placed too as well. Okay, this is cool. So we have something like this, simple design that we just done. People can come into the community and they could actually do so many things inside of this particular dark mode. Now, that being said, the next thing I want to do now is let me make this. Let me add AutoLayout to me. So I'll make it just one. Then of course, okay, it's 30. 30 is not bad, but let me give it 20 as well. So this looks cool to me. So that is how we can work with AutoLayout. Let me make this one fixed position while scrolling. So while we are scrolling down in our preview, it is not actually doing that, right? Okay, that being said, so the next thing I want to talk about will be let me talk about stroke. So stroke is one other amazing thing, another amazing feature. They call it independent stroke. So if I come over here now, let me draw a frame and I give it a fill, right? So now I can actually apply like a thick stroke to it, and I could say, okay, let this stroke now be 10, right? Okay, this is thick, and you can see the stroke is coming around it by the side. So let's say I'm creating a simple alert message. So let me give the stroke a color that is quite visible. or let me just give it like a blue color, something like this. Okay, this is not bad. And now instead of Figma, you can actually detach this stroke, right, and say, okay, I just want my stroke to be only at the top, or I want my stroke to be only by the left, or I want my stroke to be only by the right. And I solidly think this is one amazing stuff. So now once you have one stroke by the left, you could add another one, and this particular one, let's give it the same color, right? Let's give it the same color, and yeah, so let's give it the same color now. Okay, this stuff will apply the same way too as well. So let me move this one. So now we could have independent stroke at ease, right? And I really love this particular feature. So let me put this particular stroke by the left here. So you could have it inside or you could have it outside. So I prefer it to be outside, right? I love my stroke to always be outside instead of inside, right? Or better still, you could also still put it inside, you put it at the center, so it depending on what you're trying to achieve, right? So I could go ahead and create a simple box here, and I will call it let us call this one notification. Let's say like this is notification. So this is what happens when you want to notify your guys. So let's give this stuff, so it's going to blend with our design. Let's give it something like this. Let's make our notification with a very thick white color. So I didn't actually come up with some of these things. I'm just designing it afresh now, so I could easily just type, okay, you have a new message. All right, this is cool. Let me spell my message wrong. You have a new message, right? So let me make this one regular, and let me make this one like 14, and yep, so it's cool. This could be our notification. We could even go ahead and add AutoLayout to this, and this can have its own space. Let's say we want the own space to be like 10, so on and so forth, and so many things can actually happen inside of here, right? And as you can see, we've created a simple notification, right? And let's say this notification is coming inside the particular frame. Let's call this one notification, right? So we can easily just take this notification and put it inside this particular stuff. Let's see. Here is our frame. You can put it inside here, and yep, it can just come inside like this. Let's adjust it a bit. All right, perfect. So our notification can come inside this part. Let's just call this content. So our notification will come inside here. Of course, can be toggled on or off, right? So it depends on what we are trying to view. So we could have like a simple notification, you have a message, blah blah, and so on and so forth. And yeah, so basically that's it. But I really don't want notification there. I'm just trying to show you like different use cases where you can actually use your stroke to do, and one-sided stroke and so on and so forth. And I think using this, playing with this particular notification is actually good. Now the next thing I want to talk about will be me talking about text, right? Typography. Now one amazing thing, so let me just duplicate this particular community text, or let me use it to explain. So one amazing thing that Figma in this new release also covered is typography. Now if you go to your typography here and you click on under your text, I'm using Enter, and you click this particular extended type settings, you see a new particular feature called variable. Now under the variable section, you could see now this particular community text is 700. That is the weight. The weight is bold, right? That's how we call it in CSS. So I can move it to 400. I can move it to even 100. I can move it to 200. So it depends on what I'm basically trying to achieve. I could make it even bolder. I could make it slants if I want to make it slants or not, right? So these are some new features that they practically added to our typography. That we call it variable text, right? So you could actually try that out as well. It's a new feature. Now another feature that Figma also gives us the ability to do is what we call the spotlight. So with the spotlight, you can easily just come over here. If, for example, I'm the only one here, but if I'm working with my team and so many people are with me, I could actually ask them to follow me so they could monitor what I'm doing. So it's called spotlight. So once you hover over your profile picture here, you will see spotlight me. So the moment I do this, every other person on my team that is live with me can actually follow me, and they will not be able to follow me across everything that I do. But of course, there is nobody around here right now to follow me, and that is why it just looks like, okay, there is no followers yet, right? So that's another new feature that is actually out. So another amazing feature again that is out is the ability to actually favorite files. So if you click here right now, you're able to see favorite this particular file, right? I could actually easily favorite this particular file or remove from your favorites, right? So I could actually just go ahead and favorite this particular file, and when you go to your Figma homepage, you should be able to see your favorite file in there. Now, the last thing I would love to cover, let me just drag this to this particular point. The last thing I would love to cover is what I call the spring animation in such a way that Figma added in this particular new release. So let's create a simple animation in such a way that once someone comes on this particular page, this community thing is just going to bounce two times, like a spring animation. It was not there before, and it's an amazing new feature. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to like hide this my community. I'm going to shift it up for like, let's say like 100 points. Okay, something like that. So it's hidden inside that particular stuff. I can even go ahead and reduce the opacity if I also want that, right? So I will now duplicate this. Let me duplicate this now. And in my new duplicate, let me name this one 1 and name this other frame 2. So in my new duplicate, I will look for my community text and I'll bring it back down. Alright, so there's it there. So that's where I want it to be, and now I can do a simple prototype. So let me name this one 1. I can do a simple prototype. So now I'll click here, I'll go to my prototype settings panel, I'll drag here and I'll switch it here. With Figma now on top or on load, it depends, but I'm not going to put this on top. I'm going to put it after delay, and I'm just going to type just 1 here, and I'm going to navigate to 2, of course. Then now instead of instance, I'm going to move it to Smart Animate. And when I move it to Smart Animate, if you come down here and you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see this custom spring, right? So the custom spring animation, which is new. So once I click that now, I should be able to customize this stuff, customize my animation how far I want it. So the more I increase this particular value, I'm basically just dragging it, right? So the more I increase particular value, the more you're going to see how that animation is going to look like, right? So let's see how animation is going to look like. I'm going to reload this by clicking on R on my keyboard. You see that particular effect, right? So it is really too much. So I could actually just reduce this as well. So it depends how far. So you see how it is, right? And you can also reduce the timing as well. So let's see how it is. If I click R, so you see what's happening there, right? So that's the spring animation, right? So you just need to like play with the settings to get exactly what you want, and you're going to really love this. And I think this particular things that Figma have added is really dope, and I want you guys to try it out and tell me in the comment section what you think about this particular Figma new release, right? So some of my amazing feature in this particular new release will be the dark mode. Number 1 will be the absolute positioning. Number 2, and it will also be the variable text, because now I can switch from one particular bold to another from one particular font suite to another font suite without actually creating different character styles for it. So I actually think that particular effect is also good. The spring animation too is also really good. I really love it. Another feature that I also love is the space between. It just gives me this feeling as if I'm writing CSS basically, right? So I really love this as well, right? So you guys can go ahead and play with the new feature. Don't forget to subscribe to this particular channel, like this particular video, read the caption. If you want someone that will mentor you to basically start your career as a UI designer, if you want someone that will mentor you to guide you so you can build at least 2 case studies that you can add to your portfolio. Read the caption below and see how you can actually take nerdy eye structured course on UI UX design. Send me a message and I'm going to show you how I can be of help and how I can actually mentor you to build 2 case studies for yourself that you can add to your portfolio to start your career and also bootstrap your career as a UI UX designer, right? So thank you guys for watching this particular video. See you in the next video.